Welcome to Love Island Australia, officially Unpacked. I'm your host, Eoghan McDermott. This is where the villa's biggest secrets, side-eye moments and late-night confessions keep spilling long after the cameras stop rolling. Never miss an episode. Hit follow on iHeart or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're tuning in on YouTube, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss the chaos.
Love Island Australia, the podcast.
Tonight, we got to talk about the beanbag.
We don't have to talk about the beanbag. Let's let it go.
I'm not going to sit here and downplay it because I know how I felt, and I actually won't have anyone invalidate those feelings.
Drama, truth bombs, and a few shock reveals. We've got it all right here. But first, let's get you unpacked.
The Villa Recap.
Previously on Love Island Australia. Hotel Amore is over, but the trauma is thriving. Gabby goes full hurricane, torching Jotham for walking back in with Jade, calling him a slimy fuckboy and banishing anyone who even looks at him, then sobbing on the couch that she's too much and humiliated. Across the villa, Kai fails the loyalty test again, breaking the boundary he set with Yana, who declares their old problems never left, and this time, apparently she is done. At the fire pit, the OG Villa veterans get the power and clean house. Ross finally couples up with Sharn. Jotham locks in with Jade. Yana saves Kai. Gabby chooses Dylan. Tamara saves Matteo. And Mick picks Emma over Boston, who exits in pure fury, calling him a lying game player on her way out. Then, what we've all been waiting for, movie night. Sharn is exposed as a world-class shit talker. Gabby's hypocrisy with Alex is rolled in full HD. Slick Mick is revealed as a professional bomb hopper, and Kai Hard shows every steamy Hotel Amore angle Yana never needed to see. Ross questions Sharn, Emma questions Mick, Yana questions her life choices, and just when everyone's broken, two new bombs are teased: Irish hunk Josh and Dylan's dream girl Cody. All of that in 4 episodes, so let's unpack it. I'm Eoghan McDermott, and this is Love Island Australia, officially Unpacked.
The Hot Seat.
All right, joining us live from their undisclosed location, somewhere in the beautiful, I don't know where they even are. They're not together, that's for sure. It's only Sharn and Ross. Woo! That wasn't a spoiler. I don't mean not to. Who knows what the future holds? I'm just saying you're not in the same location, so people can read into that what they will. But maybe there's nothing to read into. I'm talking too much. Hi, guys.
Hi.
G'day, Alan.
Oh, guys, that was a bit melancholy and down. I know movie night was brutal, but will you bring a bit of energy?
I was fully focused on just getting your name right.
Oh, thank you, Ross. Ross did get my name wrong before we started rolling, but that's okay. It's lovely to see you both. My first thing is, Ross, I don't think this actually went to air, but I did see it because one of the producers sent it to me. I saw you doing, it wasn't bad actually, I was going to dunk on it, but it was a pretty solid impression of me doing a line on the show. And then Sharn, I did make a joke about your horrific Irish accent that you dropped on the show at one stage. So
horrific.
Give us your...
Mine got better, I will say. T was teaching me, so... And Ross. They're both very good. So,
yeah.
I learned.
Well, give us your best... Hi, hello, it's lovely to be here, and whatever, good morning to everybody listening, Irish accent. Sharn, ladies first, go.
Oh, fuck. Oh. Hi, how are ya? That's all I got.
That's all right, that's not bad. Yeah.
That was good. Good.
Ross?
My turn. Okay, so firstly, I'd like to talk about the fact that I am here on a podcast in Australia, but somewhere in the East Coast. But my time in Spain was actually made a lot more better because of the Irishman and the Irish lass that I met in Spain.
Very good.
That was solid.
Good.
I was ready to rain down a firestorm. That was bravo, both of you. That was absolutely respectable. Okay, let's start where we are and work our way backwards. Sharn, I'll come to you on this one because there was the big kind of mass exodus of Islanders, and the girls, well, everybody chose to save Tamara. And people online were going nuts because they were saying Tamara and Matteo are so obviously dead in the water. You know, Mia and Alex are right there. It looks like they have this kind of blossoming connection. And I know you were gunning hard for Tamara, as were a lot of the OG girls. What's your response to people who go, that was, we've been friends longer over kind of nurturing a connection?
Originally wasn't going to save Tamara, and I was thinking about Mia, and we were all having ideas of who we wanted to put in there. It was never clear from the start. Yep, definitely Tamara. She's the only one. It was a process of elimination for sure. And then Mick made a really good comment and just mentions that out of everyone who is in here and genuinely looking for love, that was T. And who was genuine, who wanted to find someone. She's a 27-year-old female. She wanted to find her life partner. That's what she was looking for. And we didn't know if there were going to be any more bombs coming in or not. So yes, Matteo and her were fizzling a little bit, but there was still that little bit of hope at that point. They weren't written off completely. And we had hope for her that there would be another bomb coming in. So it was never a clear, easy as decision. It's Tamara. We definitely heavily considered Mia, and you just don't see that.
Fair enough. I think people might dispute that there was still a little bit of hope. I think about 5 minutes after he saved them, they went and had a chat. It was like, yeah, this is pretty terrible. But I understand the point you're saying. When you were chatting to Mia when she went up to pack, you kind of hugged and you said, I'm sorry. And some people kind of took that as almost like kind of a half sheepish admission of, I know your connection was better.
Yeah, it was an I'm sorry, like, do you want to be talking to me right now or do you just want to sort of be alone? Definitely wasn't an admission of guilt in any way. I felt for her, you don't want to leave that place. So that was what the I'm sorry is for.
Yeah, gotcha, okay. How have you guys found it? There's kind of pretty much all the Islanders we've had on the podcast so far have kind of had opinions on how their relationship has fallen out on screen versus what they remember. How have you enjoyed kind of watching your journey on the show?
It's been bad.
Great question, Owen.
Yeah, great question. I think that 95% of Ross's and I's relationship was amazing. We were very close. We were together from day dot and we did have a good connection, and I feel like it's just been downplayed a little bit, and because we weren't in any drama at the start, for most of the time we were in no drama, and so we don't get any screen time. I've hated to see that the portrayal of our relationship feels to me a little bit more negative than it is positive, and I think 95% of our relationship was amazing and the 5% was bad, and they're showing the 5%, which I get. There's 24 hours in a day, and they can only show 1 hour of the show, and people want to see the drama. And yeah, I'm disappointed because I would have really liked to see Ross's and I relationship play out for how it actually happened.
Ross, what's your vibe on that?
Yeah, I would agree mainly. I mean, of course, Sharn was the mean girl, by the way, like the way it was portrayed mainly, and of course those things were sort of said, but it just really can sort of skew someone's overall image of our relationship and of Sharn as a character because of what they see. And there was a lot that we had a lot of tender moments, and they're just tickled in there. And I kind of think like it's careful what you wish for, because early on in the season watching it, I'm like, oh, we're not even in it. We're kind of just in the background cruising through, pretty drama free. And then all of a sudden the Boston era hits and it's like, bang, bang, bang. We are on the screen, but it's pretty negative, net negative, and Ross and Sharn as a couple seems like we're on the rocks from then forward, really. Yes, we had those dramatic moments, but it's TV, so it is dramatized, and being the only ones that know how it actually sort of felt in those moments is frustrating when my friends and family are watching it with me going, did you and Sharn, like, fucking hate each other? So, and I'm like, no, we didn't.
Because that has, I'm sure you're aware, I'm sure you kind of watch along online and kind of read what the audience's take is. I guess there is a sentiment of, do these guys like each other enough to go anywhere outside the villa? Like, it does seem, like, regardless of, because I think Connor and Isabel had the same kind of take. It was like, but I think people knew they were solid. I also think people realised you guys were solid early on. It's exactly that. It's just the start of the show is always kind of following, the tension and the who's going where and doing what with who, and then as couples exit the villa, people's relationships get more time to breathe. So I don't think you're alone in that. But yeah, right. You're obviously kind of aware then, Ross, you kind of mentioned your family, that there is this kind of air of, do these guys like each other?
Yeah, I mean, what you've seen of Sharn, I don't think my family and friends got an accurate representation, and You know, like what they're not hating on Sharn by any means, but there's a few raised eyebrows and at the way that it's been shown. But I'm just like, guys, just keep watching. That's all I can say is keep watching, because that's my response to friends and family, because I do know how it does end.
With me as well, they're showing a lot of my, I came in and my whole thing was being brutally honest and, telling it as it is, and not very apologetic about that. And I still am that person 100%. But there's also a soft, kind, intelligent side to me that no one has really been able to see, which sort of sucks. And so it is upsetting, Ross's family hearing that, Ross's family would be like, oh, Ross, what's going on here? But it's I am a good person, and you just unfortunately don't see a lot of that. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that happened, me helping the girls out with Yana. I had endless relationship conversations with Yana and Kai and trying to help them, and the boundary chat that came from me, I'm trying to help them navigate through this whole experience, and you just don't get to see a lot of the good sides of me, unfortunately.
And can I ask, and I had this conversation with God, I've had it with so many Islanders, with Lacey, with Gabby, with Connor and Isabel, kind of going, I know that the commentary is so intense, and relative to a group of young people hanging out, having a good time and forming relationships and all that kind of stuff, the commentary is so intense. So I get it can be a little bit overwhelming. But since you mentioned you were really kind of helpful with Kai and Yana and trying to nurture their relationship. One of the things that struck a chord with people was Kai, who I guess has been around you and has been the beneficiary of, you guys making space for them and supporting him and supporting Yana, was in movie night. He kind of made this declaration of it's all fake, bro. Did you guys chat more about what he meant by that, where he pulled that from?
Yeah, we did. After movie night, we chatted about that, and I asked him why he said that, and he said because Ross and I went like this. We were so close, and it's a bit odd for people to see because you don't really see how close we were before that had happened with us going our separate ways and recoupling, but it was basically because we weren't talking. We literally wake up in the morning, we would go to our other couples and we would be respectful to them, and we wouldn't really be talking to each other and hanging out as much as we were. And so Kai thought that meant oh my God, they actually probably didn't really like each other and they were just doing it to stay in the game. So we did talk about that. But it all ended up being squashed anyway.
Yeah, okay, good. One of the other huge talking points, I'm sorry, I'm kind of doing a greatest hits of things that got people riled up. Ross, we got to talk about the beanbag. We got to talk about the beanbag.
We don't have to talk about the beanbag. Let's let it go.
I'll gladly talk about the beanbag. I'm glad you brought it up, actually, Owen. Yeah, thank you.
Do you want to just take it and run with it, or?
I'll take it and I'll sit in it, mate, because that was honestly the most harmless act that I could have performed. But I'm kind of glad that I went over and I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What have I done wrong? Because I could definitely feel that was how it was perceived. I think emotions are heightened, and obviously the whole Boston coming in and Sharn and I being on the rocks for that period because I was entertaining another connection. Sharn was very valid to feel how she sort of felt based on my body language. But the reality was that I just wanted to kick back. The night was young, as I said. We're sort of just getting to know people and we're all just hanging out. It's not war where you got to pick one side of the battle and just go and sit on that side. I was just sort of hanging out, being cash. And I was very, very, obviously Sharn had her bit to say and that was fine. But then I was more pissed off at my mate Connor, who was muzzled.
He was a bit muzzled because it just
he
refresh.
had no place to say anything. This is between us and Izzy.
Just to refresh people's memory, this is when Boston had come in and Sharon's back was up, understandably a little bit, and you go sit by yourself on the beanbag, close to Sharn, but almost between Sharn, who's on your left, and Boston, who's on your right. And Sharn kind of took it, and the girls took it as he's just inviting Boston to talk to him without wanting to make the move.
Yeah, which I completely wasn't. We had Mick over there. Mick was sitting there with, I think, someone else, and then it was Boss and Mia, and then there were other people on the couches over on the other side. So I was kind of just mutual ground, sitting on the bean. There was a free beanbag, nice and comfy. I was literally just getting comfy.
Oh, but sorry. The reason, Sharn, you mentioned it there. We talked about Connor. You looked at Connor in that moment, kind of, help me, bro. And you could tell, I read it as Connor's face kind of going, yeah, man, I know, it's OTT. And you were shut down ruthlessly by the girls. Why could Connor not air his honest opinion, Sharn? I think he was going to back Ross up.
I don't think I looked at Connor once during that chat. I was actually looking at Izzy because I was sort of like, you tell him. And then I was honestly looking at Izzy. I wasn't looking at Connor, to be real with you.
But
I think
if I may interject, sorry, Sharn, if I may interject here, if Izzy's allowed to enter the debate, then I can call for help and pull Connor in for some bro support.
For sure. I wasn't the one that told Connor to shut up.
No, of course. But Izzy put her fingerprints all over that debate, and it's like, well, you're literally stopping Connor from helping a brother out.
Yeah, but that's
It was 2-on-1. I was getting shut down. It was 2-on-1. I needed to phone a friend.
Look, at the end of the day, I love Izzy and she had my back and I love her for that. And in the moments where I got completely tongue twisted and didn't know what to say back to you, she said it. And she said what I was thinking and I love that from her. So that was really nice. And yes, it was a bit of an overreaction with the beanbag thing, but when you're in that environment, you overanalyze everything. So body language is a huge thing, and where you place yourself, who you're talking to, you really read into that. Well, I do personally. I know that us girls did. And even though Ross didn't, which I understand, and I will say not once did Ross ever sit on his, well, from what I saw, he didn't sit on his own like that on a beanbag any other night besides that night. So when I think back, I'm like, or even... You did not. Don't raise your eyebrow.
There were multiple times I sat on beanbags, mate.
And in that moment, like, I was vulnerable. You knew that. And yes, it was dramatic. But in that moment, I was like, God, he really wants her to come and sit near her. And I was just being insecure at the end of the day. That's all it is. It's me and my insecurities. And I just didn't feel secure in our coupling at that time. And so for me, it was a bit of like a hit because I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to Lulu going, oh my God, he obviously wants her to come and sit next to him. And I get that. It was a bit of an overreaction. I totally get that. But at the same time, I'm literally just a girl.
Actually, Sharn, you know what's funny is, like, there was, I think, a bit of a consensus that, maybe Sharn overreacted a little bit there. But I actually completely got your point, Ross. I have to say, I'm like 52-48 Team Sharn. I was like, it is a strategic placing with plausible deniability if you need it, I have to say.
I think everyone's forgetting though that we were forced to do those speed dates with Boston. Of course I'm going to be open. Of course I'm going to have a good, fun, lighthearted chat. It's like people interpreted that as me going out of my way to flirt with Boston, but it was completely the opposite. Boston came onto me. I was her type. She was obviously very attracted to me. I was just being fun and flirty in that moment because we're open and that's the name of the game. And obviously because we just had that conversational vibe that I think it got blown out a bit into this thing where, oh my God, Ross's head's been turned, but it kind of I think it was blown out of proportion a little bit in that moment. And people didn't realize, my part in that wasn't as significant as they were thinking.
Are you talking about your whole Boston journey? Because I think...
just the first bits where Sharn was, upset that I was open and all, like, just the early parts of the Boston thing as when those girls came into the villa.
Yeah. You said post-movie night when you and Sharn were kind of having your debrief that you kind of stood by how you handled the whole Boston situation. Obviously, that's in the villa in the moment and you haven't seen any of the show back. Watching it back now, is that still your position? And Sharn, would you cut Ross any slack based off what you've seen?
For me, 100%. Ross did exactly what he should have been doing. He was building connections. Yes, he found he was saying the whole time basically that I was still his strong connection, and you just don't see, but he was openly telling Boston, like, my preference is to stay with Sharn and that's where my head is at, and she still pursued him anyway, and that's Love Island, and he respected that and he went with it and he gave that connection the time of day, which I openly told him, I get it. Like, I agree. If that's what you need to do, this is Love Island. At the end of the day, it sucks, and I wish that you didn't feel that way because I didn't have any other real connections. I wasn't. I entertained things with Alex a little bit at the start, just out of curiosity and to see if it could be anything, and it wasn't. And so I get it, and I definitely wish I cut Ross more slack in the villa, but then there's also a lot of times where you don't see that I actually do.
Yeah, and Ross?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that it looked a lot worse than it was because, yeah, as bombs do, they come in and they're chatting to blokes, well, the females anyway, they're chatting to blokes asking, how would you feel if I were to pick you? And Boss and I had that conversation a couple of times. I said, look, Sharn's my preference. We've got a good thing going. How would I feel if you picked me? Well, to be honest, I'd rather be with Sharn. It looks like Boston was a bit more hard done by, but she came in and she picked someone in a strong couple. She picked someone that didn't want to be picked. You made your bed, you lay in it kind of thing. So
obviously, Sharn and Boston, you had that dynamic going on when Boston was pursuing Ross. And Sharn, to be fair, I think you're kind of removed from this because I know it was a real flashpoint, but I just wanted to get your take. So there was the whole blow up with the girls, kind of Boston and Mia versus the OG girls kind of blow up, and Isabel and Connor were on talking about that. Now, to be fair, you and Boston, after Mick threw his kind of grenade, you and Boston kind of paired off and appeared to talk it out. But I guess watching back that episode in the show, what was your feelings on, I guess, the girls' divide?
Yeah, I mean, what you don't see is Boston and I were having our chat, and then I just see, like, Boston's like, oh my God, Yana's crying, and Yana's walking towards us, and she just comes over and she's bawling, and then she's saying, like, I just feel like Mia's on the spot, poor Yans. But in reality, again, it wasn't exactly what Izzy said on the podcast the other week. Like, you get small snippets of the conversation, and Mia was talking over the top of Izzy, and Izzy was trying to diffuse the situation and couldn't get a word in. So that's what you see, and you just see, of course, Izzy talking over the top of Mia, and at the end of the day, they hugged it out, and it was a 1 minute conversation and then a 10-minute, I love you, oh my God, we're friends for life, hug it out, and then that was that. So definitely, again, blown out of proportion for sure, but it's just unfortunate the girls were painted that way and we've been painted as mean girls, because in reality, yeah, we said some shit for sure, but it was always, it ain't that deep at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I guess emotions, everyone talks about emotions being high and tensions being high. And
yeah, like I said, everything is blown out of proportion. One little thing and one little mannerism, one little comment, you think it's like, oh, this whole big thing. And then once the dust settles...
Like sitting on a beanbag.
Yes, Ross, like sitting on a beanbag.
Guys, I'm glad to see that you put the beanbag thing behind you.
Oh, we've had words, Owen. We've had words. Yeah, small things can get blown out of proportion. In the moment, you sort of say things, and then the dust settles, and you go, girls, that was weird. Like, remember that weird time where we were, like, not friends for, like, an hour? But that's all it is. We had a moment, and all the girls would have moments for, like, half an hour, an hour. Straight after that, we're besties. And pretty much from that conversation in the TP, same with the one with Boston and I when we're having our separate chat. What, Ross? I can see, like, you want to interrupt.
Well, just when you came back from the winery, from the girls' day out, and I just remember you and Boston coming back, and you were all giddy and girly, and you fully come back and were like, "Oh, Ross, we're best friends now." And I was like, "Wait, what?" I was doing the Spider-Man, like, because that day, the group date where Dylan and Bailey came in, boy Bailey. That I think the night before, or like 2 nights before, Boston and I had that chat. And during that chat where Boston and I I'm like, I'm not going to be your best friend. And she's like, yeah, I don't want that either. That's sort of all you really get from it. But in reality, we said those things. And then afterwards, I was like, but babe, I think you're a cool chick. We are the same person. Boston and I are very similar. We have the same taste in men. We have the same confidence, that same drive, that same energy. And we were really tight after that, and we got along really well once we had those boundaries in that conversation about Ross. And I said, babe, don't want to be your bestie. Don't talk to me about Ross, but I think you're a cool chick and I really like you. And that's what you don't see. So then after that,
we go on the group date and everything, and we just had an amazing time together. And from then, we were so
And they
good.
came back as besties.
And we did come back as besties. We were vibing in the car.
My two wives getting along.
Yeah, literally, your two wives, because you were split and you were so open that we just climbed in there and we made our own little friendship.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good to hear because, as you say, there's bright lights shone on kind of small moments in the show, and that can generate a lot of commentary. Ross, you were raging that Sharn didn't apologise after the ream of insults in Look Who's Shit Talking post-movie night. Do you still feel you're owed an apology?
Absolutely not. No, I mean, if you would asked me at the point in time where I was sitting on the couch, absolutely yes. But as currently, as we stand currently, then no, I'm not owed an apology. That has been well and truly squashed.
Yeah, good. Glad to hear. Except Sharn, I'm going to call you on one thing. The hairline stuff is off limits. One, Ross has got a fine head of hair, front and back. But also, that's like telling a girl that her bum looks big in a dress.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I was going to say,
men everywhere out there are hypersensitive around that.
Yes, I know. And I actually did apologise for that. I did apologise. So in that conversation where it looks like I take no accountability for anything that I said, at the start, 100% I didn't. I sort of what you want to say something?
I just remember watching the episode last night, and your emotion. This is who am I? You're emotionally unavailable. You have commitment issues. You've got a receding hairline. Love you.
Yeah, that was me. Okay. So
that was someone.
I said those things prior to having the chat with Ross. So I went into having the chat with Ross fired up. I was like, yeah, no, he did have commitment issues. Yeah. And maybe he's playing me. And I sort of just went on this tangent. And again, when you're in there, these small little things just play on your mind. And I just went a bit delulu and a bit cray-cray and started spiraling a little bit, crashing out a little bit. So I went into the chat with Ross. Sticking to my guns and being like, nah, I stand by everything I said. Hairline comment, out of line. I will say that Ross does not have a receding hairline. That is his hairline. It's just genetics. That's his beautiful head.
It's just a shit one. Thanks, darling.
Oh, it's a beautiful one. And I regret saying that for sure.
Sorry now, hang on. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh yeah, okay, maybe, you know...
I'm getting to it.
Oh, okay, go on, continue.
So basically I come out guns blazing. I'm like, yeah, I stand by everything I said, Ross. And then he hits me with logic and facts and his emotions. And I sort of go, ooh, yeah, I've made a mistake here. And so what you don't see is after that, I do apologise and I do take accountability. I shouldn't have said those things. And also I had to give a bit of context to him because he was a bit, hurt by the things that I said to Matteo in that chat saying, if my family was watching this, they'd be like, what are you doing? That Ross took that as like a hit to him and I totally get that. But I had to give context and explain that it's a me thing. Like I'm not the type of girl to essentially wait around for a man to pick me, essentially. So that was me being...
Like, no, I understood that perfectly, actually. I thought that was a fair...
A lot of people haven't online, unfortunately. They thought that I was having a dig at, like, Ross as a person.
Yeah, you were just saying, in the real world...
Yeah, like, in the real world. And then Ross, we're not in the real world. Yeah.
Let's finish up on something lighter. There's a couple of things. One, the Mr. SUBlime challenge. Sharn, Dylan, licked you basically from your toe up to your inner thigh. Ross, I was fully expecting you to go full Hulk mode, and I'm a little bit disappointed that you didn't. That was wild.
Well, have you seen the bloke? He's in constant Hulk. How do I fight a Hulk?
Get your guitar and slam it on his head.
Yeah.
I think I went out in all-out talent warfare. If he wants to lick the girls, then I'm gonna touch their hearts with a song. That's. I'm not gonna go into a fist fight knowing I'm gonna lose because that bloke is a bloody boulder shoulders. I mean, silly.
Yeah, fair. Sharn, how was that for you? If you were wearing the heart rate challenge, would it have plummeted or skyrocketed?
Look, I don't know. I've got to think about textures and I wasn't that into it, to be honest with you. It sort of was a bit icky. You know when saliva dries and it smells? That's all I was thinking about. I just knew that my legs would smell.
That's a vivid image, but completely understandable.
Very hot, very sexy. Thank you, Dylan, for that beautiful moment. I just wish there was another man's doing it.
Yeah, fair. I didn't think it looked hot or sexy, to be honest. I was going, please someone rescue Sharn. Get her some disinfectant
It's funny,
wipes.
he said that he was going to prove that he can tame his tongue, but his tongue did not look tame in that challenge at all.
Thank you, Ross. That was exactly my observation.
I don't think he proved anything.
One of the other interesting dynamics I thought, or observations from movie night, was all of the girls, basically except for Emma and Jade, were kind of cackling, laughing, watching back Gabby's date with Alex, and she's flirting up a storm, and Jotham's sitting there looking very po-faced. And Dylan said if the boys did that, we'd get slated, but the girls do it, and it's a joke and it's funny. What are your respective thoughts on that? Because that caused a bit of back and forth between the two couches.
I'm happy to go first on this one.
Yeah,
I'm happy to go first because we might have differing perspectives, but I certainly I think that what Dylan said was just the most respectful way to be like, take some accountability. Remove the double standards and actually just be accountable for your own actions and words. And I don't think Gabby was very receptive to that. I completely agree with Dylan. I'm glad he said what he said, and I think that there were multiple times where I had some tense moments with Gabby. I think there's definitely some to come. They haven't been shown yet. But it was basically me standing up for Jotham because from what I saw, and definitely from what everyone saw on movie night, there were some double standards, some crazy double standards. And I'm glad he said what he said, and 100% agree with Dill.
Sharn?
I do agree with Dylan and the double standard thing. And Gabby did, I think she did it in the podcast the other day. Did she not take full accountability about watching back? She realised, yes, there was definitely a double standard there. We're all sort of giggling and laughing in that moment because it was like Gabby, you've just been caught red-handed. That's why we were giggling. And I think that it definitely goes both ways. I think there's a lot of things that the girls have done and the boys have done, and the girls have been put under fire for it, and the boys haven't received the same backlash. So I think it definitely goes both ways for sure. But definitely, I do agree with Dylan, and there was a double standard there, and Gabby definitely saw that after, though.
And Sharn, again, it kind of seems like I'm doing the best bits of insults you hurled, but I understand, you were just trying to comfort Gabby, but one of the quotes you had from movie night was about Jotham. He's an idiot, he's really young, he's a people pleaser, he's too soft, he doesn't have your back, and he's afraid of you because he's a pussy. I mean, you didn't hold back.
Nah, you know why? It's because in that moment, Gabby was full crashing out. She was hyperventilating. She was having a full-on breakdown, and that's what I had to do in that moment. I had to hurl, essentially, I had to throw Jotham under the bus to make her feel better, because that's the type of person Gabby is. She needs that, and she needs to know she is a bad bitch. He is not worth her time. And he was scared of her, and he was too afraid to tell her things in case of her reaction, because she has strong reactions to everything, strong emotions. She wears her heart on her sleeve.
That says more about Gabby than Jotham.
Okay, and...
sorry, Ross, elaborate.
Yeah, the fact that Jotham was scared of her says more about Gabby than Jotham.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
he was
I'm not saying that he doesn't have every right to. In that moment, she was crashing out, and that's what she needed, and so that's what I gave to her. And I had her back, and he had every right to be scared of her. She is an intimidating person. And that still makes it true. He was scared of her. He was a bit of a pussy around her. He pussyfooted around her and wasn't honest with her, and I still stand by that. I could have said things a little bit nicer, sure, but in that moment, you don't see the full extent of how Gabby was that night and how distraught she was, and so I just did everything that I could to make her feel better, essentially.
Did anyone ever, a question for both of you, did anyone ever say to Gabby, because there was a lot of, F Jotham and this, that and the other, from everybody now, sure, not just you at all, did anybody ever kind of put it to Gabby, because I kind of put it to her when she was on the podcast last week, the two of you aren't a good match, and it's not anybody's fault, but what you both bring to the table, it ain't making a cohesive whole.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever go, Gabby, this isn't good for you, and you're not good for him?
100%. That's what I did in that conversation as well, just a bit of a reality check for her. yes, you see all the things that I say about him, the really intense things like you're a pussy and he's scared of you, etc. But then a big part of that chat with he's not the man for you. Like, you're obviously not working. There's a reason why this has happened. You're not meant to be together. And same in the change room when she's saying that she wants to marry him and have his babies. I'm going, babe, you haven't even dated him on the outside. Bit of a reality check here. Let's see how you go on the outside before you make decisions like that. 100%. But she had very deep feelings at that point, and she sort of turned a blind eye, as you do when you're catching deep feelings for someone. But definitely we all tried to give her that advice.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. Let's wrap it up on, I think, what was one of the most feel-good things right now going on. Have you seen this thing, Sharn, with Carlton Football Club? You are their idol.
Yes, I've been told that, apparently. I was going to do a little special shout-out for them, but now's a great time. Yeah,
do it right now. Sharn, darling of Carlton Football Club, what is your message to your legions of handsome, burly, feverish supporters?
My message to the Carlton boys is thank you for your support. I think this is amazing. I'm very, very flattered. I heard there is a bit of a super fan in that team, maybe the coach or something like that. So I really appreciate that. Blue is my favourite colour. They should know that. And my favourite one out of the boys, not sure. They'll just have to show me themselves. But go Blues.
Ross, would you like to add anything for Carlton Football Club?
Yeah, watch your backs.
Actually, Ross, would you like to deliver them a kind of a, hey, watch your backs through the medium of song?
True.
Get your guitar, yeah. Give us a show job.
Be fucking careful, boys.
Oh, wow. What a beautiful song. What an absolutely beautiful song. Guys, like I said at some stage during the interview, that seemed like a highlight reel of like all the moments of tension and conflict and all that. But as I said, with kind of all the heavy hitters, because I do think you're a huge part of the heart and the soul of the show, and you have been there from the get-go, and we've followed your journey up to this point, and we're close to the end. The rest is still unwritten. But I think the series would be so much less without you, and it's been fascinating to watch your relationship play out. And I think what you've both brought and your observations has generated a lot of commentary and everything, but that's the heart of the show, is people kind of getting invested, for better or worse, in someone's journey and all the little kind of, nooks and crannies of the nuances and stuff. So thank you so much for coming on and being so honest and batting all the questions and having a bit of fun with it. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much
Thanks,
for having
Owen.
us. It's been a blast.
Pleasure.
Sharn and Ross, everybody!
The Truth Mic.
All right, we're joined by an Islander now whose exit shook the Villa to its core. Boston's showdown with Mick sparked one of the biggest, most explosive moments of the entire season. And now she's out. She's finally ready to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It's Boston, everybody! Yes, crab clap for people who can see or can't see. Hey, how are you? It's lovely to see you. What a ride it's been. How are you feeling?
I'm honestly feeling good, on top of the world. Watching my exit was hilarious, and I can't stop laughing at it. I've watched it like 10 times.
It's got millions upon millions of views all over socials. Let's dive in right there. You said to Mick, as you walked out the door, before you walked out the door, you treat people like shit. The switch up was crazy. You're a dickhead. All our friends know you're a dickhead. Is that still your sentiment watching it back?
Oh yeah, I stand by that 100%. Like, I'm the type of person, if I say something, I'll stand on business with it. So that still sticks.
Why does it still stick?
Because I just think Mick cares more about like his looks and his ego more than like people's feelings, and that's not someone I want to be friends with anymore. So we're not friends anymore. Okay,
well, you said like all our friends know you're a dickhead. Do you feel like he has those traits in the real world and he brought them into Love Island? Like, what's the background of that comment?
Yeah, I think he's a very ego-driven man. He's very smart, witty and funny. That's why I was friends with him. But I just think the way he speaks about people and treats them, I don't think is very nice. I think it is quite nasty. And I don't think he can really take accountability. So like what you didn't get to see on the show was we were kind of fighting almost like every day, like a freaking old married couple.
Like kind of that playful, half flirty fighting.
There was like 4 or 5 days of us all over each other, flirting, talking. And I think every day we were both kind of unsure if we should have crossed that line from being friends. But yeah, we were flirting a lot.
Okay, so this is, people were kind of applauding just kind of, you know, the fire, the spit and fire when you went out. But I did see a few people kind of go, like, in Mick's defence, they have been friends for a long time. And it's kind of like, you know, that idea of if they wanted to, they would. They were like, he just... I guess that's the line. If he wanted to, he would. And is it unfair to go at him when he just didn't feel the thing he needed to feel? You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but I think people on the internet, what they don't understand is that us, for the whole time we've been friends, we've always had partners. So there has been no chance to explore that. So us being in the villa at the same time, we were both kind of like, oh, like, is this like some sort of sign? Should we try it? Should we test it? So before the villa, there was no time to try it. So everyone's saying, oh, well, if it would have worked, it should have worked earlier. There was no chance to. The villa was that chance to try it, and we did. And I just think even if he felt a certain way about us like not being able to cross that friendship boundary, he should have let me know that and communicated that to me, not to the boys after. You know what I mean? So that's where I was kind of like, if you felt that way, that's totally fine, because we were both unsure. But I just think the way he went about it was just so disrespectful. And I think he just did it all for screen time.
Did you guys have a conversation like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Because obviously you had, the night before, you had the little kiss, and that was the first sign of, oh, maybe this is going somewhere beyond their kind of playful flirting. But were you blindsided after that, or did you kind of know where his head was going?
I knew where his head was going because the day he was like ignoring me, the switch up. Like, you saw me in there, I was like, the switch up was crazy, because it was. I just think he's the bomb diffuser. I knew it was going to happen. As soon as she walked in, I knew it was going to happen. Do
you think you're kind of just a victim of this trait that Mick has had that's been displayed on movie night, that he's actually, it's nothing to do with you as such. People are saying he's just not emotionally available at all.
Yeah, I do agree. I do think he's emotionally unavailable. But I also just think his mind was set on other things at home.
So why did he go on, do you think? Just for the crack?
Like, it's a crazy opportunity. I got messaged and I said to myself, it would be stupid not to take the opportunity. If clout comes from it, it comes from it. Like, I'll be fully transparent with that. But I think Mick 100% was just V-lining for the end and for that clout. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, well, we might put that to him if you ever chat to him again. All right, let's kind of go back to the start, because we're talking about Mick and your big dramatic exit and all that. Before we leave that alone, did you have any bigger chats with Mick? Because we get snippets, but did you have any bigger chats with Mick before you walked out the gates?
Yeah, we didn't chat. After I got like dumped, I packed my stuff and like I just didn't want to speak to him, because I just think if you didn't like me, that's fine. I don't care about that. But as a friend, the way you acted, I was like, I don't want to chat to you. He did reach out to me though 4 weeks after filming. And I made that man apologize like 6 to 7 times before I actually believed him. And I still didn't believe he was sorry, because he just like kind of laughed in my face. And then we haven't really spoken since then.
Well, what did you want him to apologize for?
The way he treated me, the way he could never take accountability. It was always me going up to him and being like, let's be friends again, let's be okay. And then we'd be all flirty and fine. Then the next day there'd be another fight. And it was just like so emotionally draining.
Yeah, okay. But you saying he did apologize?
He did apologize, but then after that in the group chat, he's still like talking his shit. And I just like, it's so boring. It's so boring.
Is there a world in like a year from now where you kiss and make up and, you know, go for a glass of wine and chat about what a crazy time that was?
I don't know, maybe. Right now, no, but we'll see what happens in a year.
Okay. Well, we're talking about Mick, but you've had a wild journey in the villa. Let's kind of go back to the start. As you watch your whole journey through, a lot of people, and maybe you feel this, kind of said, oh, Boston she wasted so much time on Ross. She should have realised sooner. She should have gotten out. She should have talked to more guys. Do you feel like your chapter with Ross was wasted time, or in the moment was it the right thing to do for you?
I don't think it was wasted time. Like, I learned a lot about myself during that time as well. Like, you grow very quickly in there. And I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I think I did that with Ross. We did have a very, very strong emotional connection from the beginning. And I honestly think his mind switched up because the girls didn't like me. And that was like the turning point. And you see that on the show, like the whole striptease dance. Everyone's excited. I'm excited for everyone. And then the girls stopped cheering for me. Jotham clocked it. And that was the night where Ross was like, oh yeah, like, I don't know, maybe I'm over Boston. And that to me is just giving, you want to impress everyone else in the villa and you can't make your mind up. Oh,
so you genuinely think, because full disclosure, Ross was on chatting to us before you popped on, and he downplayed your connection. His basic thing was, oh yeah, you know, maybe it looked like I was more into her than I was, but I chatted to her and kind of quite firmly said early on, no, I think, you know, I do want to focus on Sharn.
Oh, babe, no, he was so confusing with everything he told me, because I would not be putting my eggs in a man's basket if I felt he wasn't interested. But I also think he said on the first date he had commitment issues. Sharn talks about it. Ross talks about it. Like, that is clear as day. But I think he wasn't entirely sure on how to communicate that with me. And that's the most disappointing part. But again, yeah, I don't feel like I wasted time. But I think he's downplaying the connection as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, that can...
But each to their own. We're going to have to agree to disagree.
But you think that the striptease challenge was what? He just peer pressured into going back to Sharn?
I do think it was a bit of peer pressure, because he was speaking to me that entire day, and there's conversations that weren't shown where, or maybe they did show it a bit, where Sharn was like, why isn't he talking to me? Like, he's only talking to Boston. If you're not that interested in me and you don't want a connection, just say that from the start, and I wouldn't have tried pursuing. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, fair. You mentioned, you know, the girls kind of going silent and all. Now, we've covered this with a lot of the Islanders, but you, I guess, were front and centre along with Mia. Because recently, actually, if we look at, you know, like Gabby's been upset and you've been one of the first people to run and comfort her, and it looks like there's a lot more harmony now. But when you came in, you and Mia both said pretty loud and proud that you did not feel welcome and it wasn't a good environment. Can you talk us through that feeling to it looking like it's better now?
Honestly, it sucked. And what you don't see as well, I cried really hard in the beach hut day 3, and I wanted to go home because I felt so isolated. And I feel like,
sorry, Boston, was that after the big blow up with Mia and the girls on the TP and you having it out with Sharn?
This was before.
Oh, wow.
So the vibes were just obviously I'm going in as a bombshell. I have a job to do. I was so respectful about it from the start, yet I was still in the wrong. There was nothing I could have done that was going to make the girls like me, which I get it to an extent, but it does get to a point where you got to understand it's Love Island. Everyone's in there to find their best connection. I had chats with Sharn, but I just think the talking behind my back was the craziest thing to watch back, because at that point we were kind of okay. So seeing that playback was it actually really hurt, and I was really anxious and upset at it. And to not really have any of those girls check in and apologise sucked as well, but I also didn't expect them to.
The girls that we've talked to as part of that saga have kind of said that moment and that kind of chapter was blown out of proportion, and that people kind of kissed and made up pretty quickly after. Is that true or not true in your mind?
Oh, again, I'm so transparent. It was not blown out of proportion. What you saw is what you saw. There's probably things that happened in there that were worse. Again, as I said, I cried wanting to leave because I felt so isolated. Yes, we did kiss and make up. And I do think after Izzy left, the vibe became a little bit more harmonious. I don't know if that was because she left and Sharn's best friend wasn't there. I don't really know about that. But that was a turning point for us girls when we realised, we actually can get along, because there's limited time in here. We do want to be friends and stuff like that. But it's also just the post-villa energy where now we don't all really speak, a few of us. So it's just interesting vibes. But it definitely wasn't blown out of proportion. So I'm not going to sit here and downplay it because I know how I felt. And I actually won't have anyone invalidate those feelings.
So that's interesting. So some of the not happy vibes in the villa have kind of carried out into the real world.
Yeah, like we were all fine. Like as we all came out, we're trauma bonded for life. Let's all check in, be there for each other. Yana has checked in on me big time. Alex, Matteo, Jotham, Mia are like my OGs, but I only actually recently got a message about 4 or 5 days ago from a certain someone. And I just think it was quite a calculated message and I just didn't even respond to it because I think it should have been an apology weeks ago.
Certain someone, male or female?
Female.
What's the first letter of their name and the last letter of their name and all the letters in the middle?
Sharn, Sharn. So she sent me a text. I read it, but I obviously just was like, I feel like that message should have been sent on the first episode where she was talking smack about me and it wasn't. So I might respond when I'm ready, but I just don't really think it was genuine. And that's me being honest.
Yeah, okay. So the tea keeps on teeing. If you were to meet up with Ross now and have a chat, if you bumped into him and sat down and have a coffee, how do you think he would reflect on your journey together?
I don't know. Well, you said he's downplayed it, but I think if I was to sit down with him, have a wine or a coffee or whatever, I think we'd be chill. Like after we ended our little triangle, we were like still close. Like I was like, you guys kiss in the bed. I'm gonna go do my thing with Mick. Like it's so fine. Like we were good, but I think if I saw him in the real world, we'd be chill. But yeah, I haven't spoken to him since leaving the villa.
Yeah, okay. When you guys were dumped, yourself and Mia are kind of walking to pack. And Mia said, it's really not fair. And you said, picking Matteo, you guys, as in Matteo and Tamara, don't even like each other. Do you feel that Tamara was saved just because she was better friends with the girls? Or do you think there was a better reason?
I think she was, saved because she was better friends with the girls, which I get. They were all like there longer than Mia and myself, but I do think realistically in that setting, Bailey should have been saved. Like he only had like one night in there. I think Alex and Mia were just getting started. What you also didn't see was me and Dylan had a really, really solid connection in there. So it was disappointing all of us getting sent home because I feel all of us really deserved to stay in there for a little bit longer. And I absolutely love Matteo. I love T as well. But I do think, again, what you didn't see was me, Matteo, Joth and Mia had a chat in the bathroom and Matteo admitted, he's like, no, I just don't really see her as like my wife. Like that was the vibe. And I think Tamara was kind of slowly like fading away from him. I had a chat with Tamara being like, I might call Matteo for chats. And she was like, go for it, babe. So yeah, for her to get chosen to stay and then obviously she chose Matteo, that was crazy to me because I knew that they were kind of drifting apart. And then you see that in the next episode after my dumping where they kind of end their situation.
That's so interesting you say that because I did see a comment on, I think, one of Love Island social media accounts going, God, Boston should have made a play for Matteo because they could have something there. You know, they could be an interesting couple and obviously him and Tamara are not going anywhere fast. But you're saying you were interested in potentially exploring that?
Yeah, me and Matteo had like a really good chat off the bat. Like I think he was so chill. I think he understood my silly, goofy vibes. But yeah, I just don't think I had the chance to do that in the villa.
And was there anybody else that you had, you know, put the feelers out with around the time, kind of either post Ross or even as you were exploring with Mick and maybe getting a Mick signal?
Had a chat with Matteo, wasn't too much of it because I just think him and the whole Tamara situation was like going on. But then yeah, when Dylan came in, I had some of the best chats with him. So
the beanbag Ross, Sharn, you situation, that set the internet on fire. Ross and Sharn had a lot to say about it. When you were watching that back, what was your take?
Honestly, watching that back, in the moment, I didn't realise maybe he was trying to get closer to me and away from Sharn, but watching it back, that's exactly what it looked like. And my friends and family were like, bro, like he was literally like waiting for you to go over. But I think at that point I was like, I feel like I'm pursuing him too much. He needs to come over to me more. But that whole night was so chaotic. And I think they showed it really well on TV. Like that's exactly what happened. And I think the chat that Sharn and I had was great, but I don't think she knew I was going to stand on business with like backing myself up. And I think she quickly deflected and kind of started blaming her comments and saying that, oh, no, that wasn't directed at you, it was directed at Mia. It was directed at both of us.
Sorry, which comments specifically?
So Sharn had walked away and she was like, we've tried with the girls, like whatever. But I'm like, you guys literally said you were going to get food, walked away from us, ended up going to the TP. There was no trying with us. And I kind of get why, because I was stealing her man. But the way that Mia and myself were treated in there, I think was actually like quite horrible. And I was just glad that they did eventually show that on TV.
You said that you had a little bit of a cry before that, actually. How did Mia take it? Because I thought Mia, she had this kind of sense of, you know, kind of floating above it all slightly, and kind of almost bemused by it. But how did she take it?
She took it like a champ. Like, she's like a very, very strong, smart woman. And I'm so, so proud of her. I think she held herself really well in there. But yeah, she did better than me, because I would not have had the patience to sit there and let someone talk to me like that. And I just think it was really disrespectful. And what you didn't see was Yana came over to me and Sharn crying, being like, Me's being attacked. And I was like, what? I got up from that chair, strutted over to that TP, just sat there kind of waiting for someone to say something to me. Izzy, Gabby just walked off straight away and nothing else was said. Me and Tamara started talking about it like adults, mature, and then that's when the drama and the beef kind of started floating away. But yeah, Izzy was going at Mia, but didn't have much to say to me.
Okay, when Isabel was on, she said that when that chat ended, that they hugged it out and walked away kind of friends.
I don't remember them hugging out at all, because I came over and Izzy walked straight away.
Okay.
There was no hugging after that chat.
Okay. Boston, you came, you saw, you conquered, you spilled some piping hot tea. A lot of people, like I mentioned at the start, were upset that you didn't get to go further with your journey, or for whatever reason you didn't click with somebody that kind of got you and you got them, and, you know, take it forward more. When you're looking back at your whole journey playing out on the TV, do you feel like it was kind of like a missed opportunity, or are you going, hey, it was a roller coaster and I loved every second?
I think it was very much a roller coaster of emotions, and I loved every second after all the divide and drama was like done. But before that, it was hard.
Did it find its feet? Just going back to that, because it looked like, you know, you've talked about, you know, the different girls' take on that whole kind of Mean Girls quote unquote chapter, but it did look like you found a bit of harmony.
Yeah, we did find harmony in the end, and it made the experience a lot better. I just wish it was like that from the start, because as I said, it was very, very hard at the beginning adjusting to all of that energy.
Yeah, okay. If you have one final thought that you want to share with Ross and with Mick, what are those respective thoughts? Good luck in life. I think he's a nice guy and a genuine guy, and I wish him the best. And Mick? Go fuck yourself. Oh, Boston. Oh, it's been fire. Hey, listen, one other thing I noticed more than other Islanders who have left was, because I think a lot of the commentary online is not exclusively, but more girls than boys. But I saw a lot of men going, oh my God, Boston was one of the hottest women that's ever walked the face of the earth. Have you had many eligible bachelors sliding into your DMs? There has been some. There definitely has. It's crazy being out in public as well. There's a lot of girls and guys and gays wanting photos and wanting to chat to me, which I think is really cool. If any of those eligible bachelors are listening to the podcast right now, are you available for dates, and should they shoot their shot? I mean, shoot your shot, but my main focus is me right now. Okay. Yeah, a bit of self-care is the best kind of care. Needed. Boston, you're a legend, and you created some of the most iconic moments of the series, so thank you for bringing the fire and the honesty, and here's to love moving forward. Thank you, Boston. Thank you. All right, Alright gang, that's it for this episode of Love Island Australia, officially unpacked. Thanks so much for being with us, and due to popular demand, new episodes of Love Island Australia are now dropping Monday to Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. That's 9 a.m. in WA, so enjoy your L breakfast pashing Perth. We'll be back next week with even more gossip, grafting and glorious chaos. See you then.